Okay, so are you ready to dive into some seriously fascinating Spanish myths and legends?
Absolutely. We're talking about creatures so intriguing they'd make even a skeptic think twice.
Yeah, and we're not just like skimming the surface here. We're going deep, right?
Yeah, we are really going to unearth those cultural and historical roots.
And our guide for this deep dive.
Excerpts from Legends and Lore by Javier Reyes. It's a treasure trove of these creatures and their stories.
So by the end of this, you'll be armed with enough fascinating stories to impress your friends.
Oh, absolutely. This stuff is the kind of thing that sparks up a conversation, makes you look at the world a little differently.
Okay, I am ready. Let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
All right, let's kick things off with a creature that's practically universal. I mean, who doesn't love a good werewolf story?
Oh, yeah, the werewolf, a classic. But in Spain, they don't just have werewolves, they have the Hombre Lobo.
Hombre Lobo. Okay, yeah. I've always been fascinated by werewolves, but what makes the Hombre Lobo unique?
Well, picture this. It's the late Middle Ages in rural Spain, okay? Witch hunts are rampant, fear of the unknown is everywhere, the full moon rises, right? And suddenly, this blood-curdling howl pierces the night.
Okay, I'm already hooked.
But it isn't just any wolf, it's a human that's been cursed, transformed into this beast.
So it's like the Hombre Lobo becomes a scapegoat for a society that's grappling with fear and suspicion.
Exactly, and that fear is palpable. You can feel it in the stories.
But some stories depict the Hombre Lobo as a victim, right? Like they didn't necessarily choose to become this way.
Precisely, that's where the duality comes in, right?
Okay, I like where this is going.
It's like, imagine being cursed, right? Forced to harm others, but it's totally against your will. And that internal struggle, that battle between man and beast, that's a powerful theme, you know?
It's like a physical manifestation of that inner turmoil we all experience at some point in our lives.
It really makes you wonder who's the real monster, right? Is it the one who inflicts the curse or the one forced to bear it?
That is a great question. Food for thought, for sure. But, okay, let's say I found myself facing a Hombre Lobo. What were my options? Was it all garlic and crucifixes?
You name it. They had silver bullets, holy water, even just the mention of God's name. People back then, they were armed with a whole arsenal of defenses, both real and imagined.
Well, yeah, I get it. When you're dealing with the unexplainable, you kind of cling to anything that offers a sense of control, right?
Right, and that leads us perfectly to the captivating world of seafaring lore. We have to talk about the Sirenas.
Oh, yes, the Sirenas.
Yeah.
Now, these creatures, they weren't just beautiful. They were like the embodiment of the ocean's power.
Exactly. They were mesmerizing, but also kind of terrifying. You never knew what you were going to get.
Yeah. Okay, I remember being both captivated and slightly terrified by their stories.
Mm.
But I always wondered, were they seen as purely like evil beings, or was there more to their story?
That's the beauty of mythology, isn't it? It's never black and white. So, yeah, while some tales would depict them as these enchantresses, luring sailors to watery graves, right? Others portray them as these powerful entities, like they could control the waves, heal the sick, even grant wishes. It all depended on which story you heard and who was telling it.
It's almost as if the Sirenas embodied that duality we see in the ocean itself, right?
Right.
It's calm and inviting one moment, and then wild and unforgiving the next.
Exactly. For centuries, the sea has represented both opportunity and danger. I mean, think about it. It provided food, trade routes, adventure, but it could also swallow you whole without a second thought.
It's no wonder the Sirenas became such potent figures in Spanish folklore.
It really is.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. That these creatures aren't just these fantastical beings, right?
No, not at all.
They're reflections of humanity's complex relationship with the world around us. It's like our fears and aspirations, they're woven into these creatures.
Absolutely. They embody those things that we grapple with, those unknowns that keep us up at night.
Okay, speaking of fears, let's talk about a creature that still haunts the dreams of mischievous children in Spain. The Coco.
Oh, the Coco. Now, there's a creature used for, shall we say, parental persuasion.
Every culture has them. The creatures that send shivers down children's spines, right, to encourage, good behavior. So what exactly makes the Coco the stuff of nightmares?
Okay, picture this, all right. A child, they're tucked into bed, fighting that urge to stay up past their bedtime, right? Suddenly, from the darkest corner of the room, two glowing eyes appear.
Oh, no. I don't like where this is going.
Attached to a shadowy figure with these long, creepy claws.
Okay, yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to run into the Coco in a dark alley, or a dark bedroom for that matter. But I've also heard whispers that the Coco wasn't always seen as purely menacing, like there was another side to this creature.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. See, the Coco was also believed to be a protector of children, so it wasn't all bad. It made sure that those who behaved stayed safe from harm.
Interesting. So it's like this spooky Mary Poppins with a taste for scaring kids straight.
You got it. That's the Coco.
It makes you think about the line between fear and respect, especially when it comes to the stories, we tell children. But speaking of mischief, our next creature takes playing pranks to a whole new level. So get ready to meet the duende, a tiny trickster that has a knack for turning the ordinary into the extraordinary.
The duende. Now, there's a creature that embodies the wild, untamed spirit of Spanish folklore.
It's like that feeling you get when you're lost in the woods. You're a little spooked, but also kind of thrilled by the mystery of it all.
It really is. Like, imagine, if you will, a being that's both whimsical and unpredictable, much like the forest itself, right?
I like it.
One minute, it's playing harmless pranks, hiding your keys, maybe leading you in circles through the woods. The next, it's fiercely defending its domain from those who would do it harm.
So it's not just a prankster, it's like a guardian.
Exactly. A protector of the natural world, fiercely loyal to its inhabitants. Some even say that if you treat the forest with respect, the duende might just reward you with good fortune.
It makes you wonder if these stories served as a way to, like, encourage respect for the environment,
Yeah.
even if it meant putting a little fear into people's hearts.
It's a good point. It's fascinating, right? How these mythical creatures often embody both sides of that coin, you know what I mean? Fear and respect, danger and protection, almost as if they're reminding us that nature is a force to be reckoned with, not to be taken for granted.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that's given me a lot to think about. But let's shift gears a bit. Talk about a creature that's a little closer to home, so to speak. Have you ever, been ready to blame your forgetfulness on anything other than yourself?
Ah, you're talking about the nidus.
Yes.
Those mischievous little creatures that supposedly wreak havoc on our memories.
Exactly. I mean, who hasn't had those moments, right, where you can't remember where you put your keys or why you walked into a room? The nidus might be tiny, but their impact on our sanity, it's legendary.
Oh, it's such a brilliant concept, isn't it? It's like these microscopic beings, practically invisible to the naked eye, setting up shop in our brains, feeding off our memories.
It's like the physical manifestation of those, senior moments that we all dread no matter what age we are.
Exactly. But, on a more serious note, it's also a reminder that our memories are precious, something to be cherished, protected.
Speaking of precious things, I hear tell of a creature in Spanish folklore that can lead you to treasures beyond your wildest dreams. That is, if you're lucky enough to catch it. Tell me more about the elusive Gamesino.
Ah, the Gemusino. Now, there's a creature that's captured the imaginations of generations.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's the embodiment of luck, fortune, that universal desire to find hidden treasures.
So it's like a furry, four-legged metal detector with a knack for disappearing into thin air.
That's one way to put it.
No wonder it's considered one of the most elusive creatures in Spanish mythology. But what exactly does a Gamesino look like? Is it a badger? A squirrel? A mythical hybrid of some sort?
That's the thing. No one knows for sure. Some say it's the small, furry creature. Others describe it as a reptile. And then there are those who claim it can change its appearance at will.
Okay, shapeshifter, I like it.
It really adds to its mystique, right?
Nah.
It makes it even more sought after.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Imagine the stories people must have told, the lengths they would go to try and catch a Gamesino. It's like the ultimate treasure hunt, except the prize is the guide itself.
And much like a true treasure hunt, the thrill is in the chase, right?
I'm with you.
The Gamesino represents that tantalizing mix of hope, possibility, and the sheer joy of the unknown.
Okay, I'm convinced I'm adding Catch a Gamesino to my bucket list right after Visit Spain.
There you go.
But for now, let's journey back into the realm of the slightly spooky with a creature that's sure to send shivers down your spine. The Pazanta, the embodiment of nightmares made flesh.
Ah, the Pazanta. Now, there's a creature that taps into a fear that's both universal and deeply unsettling, that feeling of being paralyzed, helpless, while something unseen closes in.
Okay, I'm already getting the chills just thinking about it. It's like those nightmares you have where you're trying to scream, trying to run, but you can't move. What exactly is the Pazanta, and why is it such a potent figure in Spanish folklore?
Imagine this. You wake up in the middle of the night, your heart's pounding, right? There's this crushing weight on your chest, you're unable to move a muscle, and then in the darkness you see it. A A shadowy figure perched at the foot of your bed, its eyes glowing with this, like, malevolent glee. That, my friend, is the Pasanta.
Okay, that's officially terrifying. I can see why the Pazanta has endured as this symbol of fear and dread. It's like the embodiment of our deepest anxieties, those moments when we feel most vulnerable.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that the Pazanta's power, it lies not just in its physical presence, but in its ability to tap into that primal fear of the unknown, the things that lurk just beyond our perception. It's a stark reminder that even in the safety of our own homes, there are forces at play that we may never fully understand.
It's like the Pazanta is a creature that thrives on the power of suggestion. Our own imaginations turning against us in those moments of vulnerability.
Exactly. That's what makes it so effective,
This is
right?
enough to make you want to sleep with the lights on.
Perhaps, perhaps. But on the other hand, it also reminds us of the importance of facing our fears, confronting those things that go bump in the night, both real and imagined. After all, sometimes the greatest monsters are the ones we create in our own minds.
That's a really powerful thought. It's like the Pazanta is a reminder that sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones we carry within ourselves. Our anxieties, our insecurities, the shadows we try to keep hidden. Speaking of shadows, our next creature, or rather group of creatures, is shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Tell me more about the Mano Negra, the Black Hand.
Ah, the Mano Negra. Now, this isn't your typical mythical creature. It's not a beast or a spirit. We're talking about a shadowy organization, a secret society,
Okay, I'm intrigued.
steeped in legends of dark magic and hidden agendas.
Okay, I'm getting chills just hearing you describe it. It's like something out of a Dan Brown novel, a group shrouded in secrecy, pulling strings from the shadows. What's the story behind the Mano Negra? What are they rumored to do?
That's the thing no one knows for sure. Their origins are shrouded in mystery, their motives whispered about in hushed tones. Some say they're a force for chaos, wielding forbidden knowledge for their own nefarious purposes. Others claim they're protectors of ancient secrets, guardians of a power too great for mortal men to wield.
So they're like a wild card, a force to be reckoned with. But whether they're ultimately good or evil remains a mystery.
Precisely. And that's what makes the Mano Negra such a compelling figure in Spanish folklore. They represent that tantalizing mix of fear and fascination, that primal urge to understand the forces that shape our world, even the ones that lurk in the shadows.
That's like the Mano Negra is a reminder that sometimes the scariest monsters aren't the ones we can see, but the ones that we can't. The hidden agendas, the whispers in the dark, the unseen hands that shape our destiny. It's enough to make you question everything you thought you knew.
Perhaps that's the point. Sometimes a little mystery can be a good thing. A reminder that the world is full of surprises, both wondrous and terrifying. But for now, let's leave the shadowy world of secret societies and venture back into the heart of nature. Tell me, have you ever felt a presence watching you in the woods, a sense that you're not alone, even when there's no one in sight?
Well, absolutely. It's that feeling of being both humbled and a little spooked by the sheer power and mystery of nature. I imagine that's where our next creature comes in, the Buscosu, the spirit of the Asturian forests.
Exactly. The Buscosu embodies that complex relationship we have with the natural world. He's both a protector and a prankster, a guardian of the forest who's not afraid to play a few tricks on those who wander into his domain.
So it's like he's the mischievous caretaker of the woods, making sure everyone who enters treats his home with respect. Tell me more about the Buscosu. What does he look like? What kind of pranks does he play?
Well, imagine, if you will, a being that's as ancient and gnarled as the trees themselves. Long white beard, moss-covered skin, and eyes that twinkle with both mischief and wisdom.
Okay, I'm already picturing him like hiding behind a tree, waiting to jump out and startle unsuspecting hikers.
He's been known to lead travelers astray, whisper misleading directions in their ears, and even steal their belongings, only to return them later as if to teach them a lesson about respecting the forest and its secrets.
I love that. It's like he's the embodiment of the forest itself. Beautiful, mysterious, and always full of surprises. It makes you realize that sometimes a little mischief is just nature's way of reminding us who's really in charge.
Speaking of reminding us who's in charge, let's talk about a creature who takes that concept to a whole new level, the Nubaru, a giant with a connection to the very elements that shape our world.
A giant who controls the weather. Now that's a force to be reckoned with. I can only imagine the stories people must have told about the Nubaru. Was he seen as a benevolent protector or a fearsome force of nature?
Well, like many creatures in Spanish mythology, the Nubaru embodies that duality, capable of both great kindness and terrible wrath. Imagine a being so powerful he could summon storms with a flick of his wrist, bring rain to parched fields, or unleash floods and lightning upon those who angered him.
Wow, talk about a creature with a serious case of mood swings. It makes you wonder if those ancient tales served as a way to explain the unpredictable nature of weather, to give a face and a personality to the forces that shape their lives.
Precisely. The Nubaru represents that ancient human desire to understand and even control the forces of nature, even the ones that terrified them the most. And speaking of terrifying, let's talk about a creature that's enough to make even the bravest soul think twice about venturing into the mountains alone. The Tatalo.
The Tartalo. I've heard whispers of this creature, a giant with a taste for human flesh. What are the stories they tell about the Tartalo, and why has he become such a prominent figure in Spanish folklore?
Well, imagine, if you will, a being of immense strength and size with a single eye in the middle of its forehead, a booming voice that could shake the very mountains, and an appetite for human flesh that knew no bounds.
Okay, that's officially the stuff of nightmares. I can see why parents would tell their children stories about the Tartalo, especially if they wandered too far from home. It's like the ultimate cautionary tale: don't stray too far or the giant might get you.
Exactly. The Tartalo embodies that primal fear of the unknown, of the dangers that lurk beyond the safety of the familiar. And yet, like many mythical creatures, the Tartalo isn't simply a monster to be feared. He's also a reminder of the importance of courage, cunning, and the power of human ingenuity to overcome even the most daunting of obstacles.
It's like the classic David and Goliath story, the underdog using their wits to outsmart the bigger, stronger opponent. I love that there's a glimmer of hope even in the face of something as terrifying as the Tartalo. It reminds us that even when faced with giants, we don't have to give in to fear.
And speaking of giants, let's talk about a creature that's a little less intimidating, but just as intriguing. The Bossajan, the protector of the forests and a friend to those who treat nature with respect.
The Bossajan. Now that's a creature I can get behind. A gentle giant who looks out for the well-being of the forest and its inhabitants. Tell me more about the Bossajan. What does he look like? What are his powers?
Well, picture this. Deep in the heart of the Basque Country, amidst towering trees and lush vegetation, lives a being of immense size and strength, covered in thick hair, with a long, flowing beard, and a kind, gentle face that reflects the wisdom of the ages. That's the Bossajan.
Okay, he's already winning me over with that description. He sounds like the kind of giant you'd want to have a cup of tea with or maybe share a pinso or two. But tell me, what makes him so special? What are his powers?
The Bossajan is known for his deep connection to nature. He can communicate with animals, control the growth of plants, and even influence the weather. He's also a skilled craftsman and builder, said to have taught humans the secrets of agriculture and architecture.
Wow. So not only is he a gentle giant, he's a skilled artisan and a wise teacher. It's like he embodies the best of what nature has to offer. I'm starting to see why the Bossajan is such a beloved figure in Basque mythology. He's a reminder that not all giants are fearsome and that sometimes the greatest strength lies in gentleness, wisdom, and a deep respect for the natural world.
And speaking of respect for the natural world, let's talk about a creature that embodies the mischievous spirit of water. The Guasa.
The Guaxa. Now, water spirits always intrigue me. They can be so alluring, so mysterious, but also a little dangerous, wouldn't you say?
You're absolutely right. The Guaxa is no exception. She embodies that duality we see in so many water spirits, capable of great beauty and generosity one moment and swift, terrible wrath the next.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about the Guasa. What does she look like? What are her powers?
Imagine, if you will, a creature of breathtaking beauty, with long, flowing hair the color of moonlight on water, eyes that shimmer like gemstones, and a voice that can soothe the most troubled soul, or lure unsuspecting victims to their doom.
Oh, wow. She sounds both enchanting and a little terrifying. It's like she embodies the allure and the danger of water itself. You'd be drawn to her beauty, but always wary of the power she possesses.
Exactly, and her powers are as vast and unpredictable as the ocean itself. She can control the tides, whip up storms, heal the sick, and even grant wishes, but always at a price.
There's that word again, price. It seems like magic always comes with a cost in the world of Spanish mythology. What kind of price would the Guasa demand for her favors?
That depends on her mood, and of course on the one who dares to ask. She might demand a token of gratitude, a promise of loyalty, or even a human life.
Okay, that escalated quickly. It seems like the Guasa is a creature who demands respect, even reverence. You wouldn't want to get on her bad side.
Precisely. She embodies the power and the unpredictability of the natural world, alluring and dangerous, beautiful and terrifying. She's a reminder that nature is not to be trifled with, and that even the most beautiful creatures can harbor a dark side.
It's a fitting reminder as we delve deeper into the world of Spanish myths and legends. Speaking of dark sides, our next creature is said to be a harbinger of death itself, the Gallo de la Muerte, the rooster of death.
Ah, the Gallo de la Muerte. Now there's a creature that sends shivers down the
I
spine.
can only imagine. A rooster that heralds death. It's enough to make anyone lose sleep. But tell me, is the Gallo de la Muerte simply a creature of ill omen, or is there more to its story?
That's the beauty of folklore, isn't it? It's rarely as simple as it seems. While the Gallo de la Muerte's crow is indeed a portent of death, it's also seen as a reminder of the cyclical nature of life and death, the inevitability of change, and the importance of living each day to the fullest.
It's like a morbid wake-up call, a reminder that our time on this earth is precious and finite. But instead of fearing death, perhaps the Gallo de la Muerte encourages us to embrace life more fully, knowing that it won't last forever.
Precisely. It's a reminder that death is not the end, but simply a transition, a passage into the next great adventure. And speaking of adventures, our next creature is said to be quite the prankster, with a penchant for leading travelers astray and playing tricks on those who dare to enter its domain. Have you ever heard of the Trasgo?
The Trasgo. I've heard whispers of this mischievous creature, but I'm eager to learn more. What kind of pranks does the Trasgo play, and why is it such a prominent figure in Spanish folklore?
Well, imagine, if you will, a creature that's as unpredictable and mischievous as the wind itself, with a knack for appearing and disappearing at will, always with a twinkle in its eye and a mischievous grin on its face. That's the Trasgo.
Okay, he already sounds like a handful.
Hmm.
I can only imagine the chaos he must cause wherever he goes. But tell me, what makes the Trasgo so special? What kind of pranks does he play?
Well, he's known for hiding objects, moving furniture, making strange noises, and even changing his shape to confuse and frighten those who cross his path. But don't be fooled by his mischievous nature. The Trasgo is also a creature of great wisdom and knowledge, and those who befriend him can learn much from his ancient lore.
It's like he's a walking paradox, a mischievous prankster who's also a wise sage. It makes you wonder if his pranks are just his way of testing those he encounters, seeing if they're worthy of his knowledge.
That's a fascinating thought. You know, it's often said that the Trasgo is drawn to those who are pure of heart, and that his pranks are never meant to cause harm, but rather to teach valuable lessons about life, laughter, and the importance of not taking ourselves too seriously.
I love that. It's like he's the embodiment of that saying, laughter is the best medicine. Even in the face of the unknown, a little humor can go a long way. And speaking of laughter, our next creature is said to bring joy and abundance wherever it goes, the Martinico.
Ah, the Martinico. Now there's a creature that brings a smile to my face.
I can already tell I'm going to like this one. Tell me, what makes the Martinico so special? What are his powers?
Well, imagine, if you will, a creature that embodies the very essence of joy, laughter, and abundance. A tiny, mischievous spirit with a heart of gold and a knack for making things grow. That's the Martinico.
Okay, I'm officially charmed. He sounds like the life of the party, but with a green thumb. Tell me more about his powers.
The Martinico is said to control the weather, bringing rain to parched fields, calming storms with a wave of his hand, and ensuring a bountiful harvest for those who treat him with respect.
Wow. So not only is he a cheerful companion, he's also a powerful ally for farmers and anyone who depends on the land for their livelihood. It's like he's the embodiment of nature's generosity, always willing to lend a helping hand,
Right.
or maybe a sprinkle of magic rain.
Exactly. The Martinico is a reminder that even in the face of adversity, there's always room for joy, laughter, and a little bit of mischief. And speaking of mischief, our next creature is a master of disguise, known for its ability to shapeshift and play tricks on unsuspecting humans. Have you ever heard of the Ramadreju?
The Ramadreju.
Yeah.
Shapeshifting sounds intriguing. Tell me more. What does the Ramadreju look like? What kind of tricks does it play?
Well, that's the thing about the Ramadreju. It can look like anything it wants. One minute it might be a furry weasel, the next a sleek cat, or even a handsome stranger.
Okay, now we're talking. A shape-shifting trickster with a penchant for disguise. I could see why the Ramadreju has captured the imaginations of so many. But what's the purpose behind its trickery? Is it malicious, or is there a method to its madness?
Ah, that's the question, isn't it? Some believe the Ramadreju is simply a mischievous spirit, delighting in causing chaos and confusion. Others see it as a more benevolent figure, testing the limits of human perception and challenging our notions of reality.
It's like the Ramadreju is a walking, talking Rorschach test. Each encounter a reflection of our own perceptions, biases, and beliefs. What a fascinating creature. It makes you wonder if maybe, just maybe, we create the monsters we fear the most.
And speaking of monsters, let's talk about a creature that embodies both the majesty and the terror of the natural world, the culebre.
The culebra. Now, we can't talk about Spanish mythology without mentioning dragons, can we? But what makes the culebra unique? Is it a benevolent protector or a fearsome beast?
Ugh, the culebre. Now there's a creature that embodies the raw power and majesty of nature. Imagine, if you will, a serpentine being of immense size, with scales that shimmer like 1,000 jewels, eyes that burn with ancient wisdom, and a roar that can shake the very foundations of the earth.
Okay, I'm officially in awe. But you mentioned the culebra embodies both majesty and terror. Is it a creature to be feared or revered?
That's the beauty of it, isn't it? The culebre is a creature of duality, capable of both great destruction and unexpected benevolence. In some tales, the culebre is a fearsome guardian, jealously hoarding its treasure and unleashing its wrath on those who dare to trespass. In others, it's a wise and powerful being, capable of bestowing gifts, offering guidance, and even falling in love.
It's like the culebra represents that fine line between admiration and fear, reminding us that even the most awe-inspiring creatures can be unpredictable, dangerous, and yes, even a little bit romantic. But speaking of romance, our next creature is said to be a heartbreaker of mystical proportions, the Aloja.
Ah, the Aloja. Now, there's a creature that embodies the allure and danger of unchecked desire.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me everything about the Aloja. What makes her so irresistible and so dangerous?
Imagine, if you will, a creature of unearthly beauty, capable of shifting her appearance at will to embody the desires of any heart that beats within her presence. She might appear as a beautiful maiden, seductive siren, or even the object of your deepest longing.
Wow, talk about a creature who knows how to play the game of seduction.
Hmm.
But what's the catch? I'm guessing there's always a catch when it comes to creatures as alluring as the Aloja.
You're absolutely right. You see, the Aloja's beauty is a trap, a lure to ensnare the unsuspecting and drain them of their life force. Those who fall prey to her charms often meet a tragic end, lost forever in the thralls of her enchantment.
It's like a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked desire, a reminder that sometimes the things we crave the most can be the most destructive.
Precisely. The Aloha reminds us that true love requires more than just physical attraction. It requires trust, respect, and a willingness to see beyond the surface to the heart of the matter. But speaking of hearts, our next creature is said to be a harbinger of death, the Caballucos del Diablo, the devil's horses.
Okay, from seductive shapeshifters to demonic steeds. The world of Spanish mythology certainly keeps things interesting. Tell me more about the Caballucos del Diablo. What makes them so terrifying?
Imagine, if you will, a dark and stormy night. The wind howls through the trees, lightning splits the sky, and the sound of thunder echoes through the mountains. And then you hear it. The sound of hooves pounding the earth, drawing closer, closer.
Okay, I'm already getting chills. It's like something out of a gothic horror novel.
And then, through the driving rain, you see them, a team of jet black horses, their eyes burning like hot coals, their breath trailing behind them like smoke. But it's not just the horses that strike fear into the hearts of men, it's their riders.
Oh, our riders. Who are these mysterious figures who command the devil's horses?
Legend has it that the Caballucos del Diablo are ridden by demons, spirits of the underworld, sent to collect souls and drag them down to the depths of hell.
Okay, that's officially the stuff of nightmares. I can see why the Caballucos del Diablo have become such a potent symbol of fear and dread. It's like the embodiment of our deepest fears about death, the unknown, and the forces that lie beyond our control.
Exactly. The Caballucos del Diablo represent that primal fear of the darkness, of the things that go bump in the night, and the inevitability of death itself. But they also remind us of the power of faith, of the importance of staying true to our beliefs, and of the hope that even in the face of death, there is light.
And that sometimes even the darkest of creatures can be outrun, outwitted, and ultimately overcome.
Speaking of overcoming obstacles, let's talk about a creature that embodies the importance of facing our fears head-on, the Espumeros.
The Espumeros. I don't believe I'm familiar with this one. Tell me more. What are the Espumeros?
Imagine, if you will, a creature so small it's barely visible to the naked eye, a being of pure air and water, dancing amidst the foam and spray of crashing waves.
Okay, I'm picturing something delicate, ephemeral, almost fairy-like. But you said they can have a big impact. How so?
Well, don't let their size fool you. The Espumeros are said to be fiercely protective of their watery domain. They might be tiny, but they have the power to whip up storms, capsize boats, and generally make life difficult for those who disrespect the sea.
So it's like the old saying, pick on someone your own size.
Precisely. The espumeros are a reminder that even the smallest of creatures deserve our respect. They teach us that appearances can be deceiving, and that true power often lies in the most unexpected places.
I love that. It's a great reminder to never underestimate the little guy, or in this case, the little espumero. But let's move on to a creature that's a little more solid, shall we say. Tell me about the diantre.
Ugh, the diantre. Now, there's a creature that embodies the darker side of Spanish folklore. It's a being born from our deepest fears, our darkest impulses, a manifestation of the shadows that lurk within us all.
Okay, I'm officially creeped out. What makes the diantre so terrifying?
Well, imagine, if you will, a creature that can take on any form, any shape, to prey upon our deepest fears. It might appear as a shadowy figure, a monstrous beast, or even like a loved one, twisted and corrupted by darkness.
It's like something out of a nightmare. What does the diantre want? Why does it torment people?
The diantre, it feeds on our fear, our despair, our negative emotions. It whispers temptations in our ears, urging us to give in to our darkest impulses, promising power or revenge, but its gifts always come at a terrible price.
It's like the diantre is a physical manifestation of our inner demons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those voices that tempt us to stray from our path. What a chilling thought. But it's also a powerful reminder of the importance of self-awareness, like confronting our shadows and choosing the path of light, even when it's difficult.
Speaking of difficult paths, our next creature is said to guard a path that many have sought but few have found, the path to eternal life. Have you ever heard of the Cuelebra?
The Cuelebra, a guardian of eternal life. That sounds intense. Tell me more. What is the Cuelebra? What makes it so powerful?
Imagine, if you will, a creature of immense size and power, coiled within the heart of a mountain, its scales shimmering like 1,000 gemstones, its eyes burning with ancient wisdom.
Okay, I'm picturing a dragon and not the friendly, fire-breathing kind.
You're not far off. The Cuelebra is a serpentine being of immense size and power, often depicted as a winged serpent or a dragon-like creature, depending on the region and the tale. It's said to possess great wisdom, but also a fearsome temper.
So it's a creature to be both revered and feared. That's quite a combination. What else can you tell me about the Cuelebra?
Well, legend has it that the Cuelebra guards a vast treasure hidden deep within its lair. Some say it's a hoard of gold and jewels, while others believe it's something far more valuable: ancient knowledge, magical artifacts, or even the secret to eternal life.
Wow, that's quite a prize. But I'm guessing acquiring such a treasure wouldn't be easy. What would one have to do to earn the Cuelebra's favor, or at least avoid his wrath?
Ah, that's the question, isn't it? The Cuelebra is a creature of unpredictable moods, capable of great kindness and terrible vengeance. Some say the only way to win its favor is through acts of great courage or selflessness. Others believe it's best to steer clear of the Cuelebra altogether, lest you become another cautionary tale whispered around the fire on a dark and stormy night.
I think I'll err on the side of caution and admire the Cuelebra's magnificence from afar. But speaking of magnificence, we can't wrap up our deep dive into Spanish myths and legends without mentioning the criaturas, those magical beings that add a touch of wonder and enchantment to the world.
Ah, the criaturas. These aren't your typical fearsome monsters or mischievous spirits. They're beings of pure magic, often associated with nature, beauty, and the power of imagination.
Okay, I'm ready for a dose of enchantment. Tell me everything. What kind of creatures fall under the umbrella of criaturas?
Well, there's the Anjana, a beautiful fairy-like creature said to protect the forests and mountains of Cantabria. She's often depicted as a young woman with long, flowing hair, dressed in white and surrounded by animals.
I love that. A guardian of nature, beautiful and benevolent. Tell me more. Are there other criaturas that protect specific places?
Absolutely. There's the Zana, another fairy-like creature, this time from the Asturias region. Known for her beauty and her association with water springs, rivers, waterfalls, she's said to possess magical powers, including the ability to control the weather and heal the sick.
It's fascinating how these creatures embody both the beauty and the power of the natural world. They're like living embodiments of the places they protect, reminding us of the magic that exists all around us if we only know where to look.
Exactly. And that's what makes Spanish folklore so captivating. It's a blend of the familiar and the fantastical, the mundane and the magical. These creatures, whether fearsome or friendly, mischievous or benevolent, reflect our deepest hopes and fears, our connection to the natural world, and our enduring fascination with the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding.
Absolutely. It's been an incredible journey exploring the world of Spanish myths and legends. From shape-shifting seductresses to benevolent giants, mischievous sprites to fearsome dragons, these creatures offer a glimpse into the rich tapestry of Spanish culture, history, and imagination.
And the best part is, this is just the beginning. There are countless other creatures, legends, and folktales waiting to be discovered, each one a thread in the vast and intricate tapestry of Spanish folklore.
So to our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep your eyes peeled for the magic that exists all around us. You never know when you might catch a glimpse of a Trosco lurking in the shadows, hear the whisper of a Cueleva's wings on the wind, or stumble upon the hidden treasure of a Gamusino.
Until next time, may your journeys be filled with wonder and your dreams touched by magic.